Everyone, this is Chris and Sandy with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. And and the crazy part of all this is our first show in 2 weeks because we had a big
Yes,
Nashville trip that we took. And so, it's like
right.
trying to get all this back organized to get back in the act of doing daily shows again. It's been crazy.
Yes, it has been
But
crazy.
who do we have today?
We have the amazing Taylor Dayne. You may remember her with such major hits as Tell It to My Heart, Say a Prayer, Love Will Lead You Back, and With Every Beat in My Heart, and many more. And we're so excited to have her on the show today.
I mean, she was the it girl back in our day, and
Oh,
we're
yes,
excited
absolutely.
to see that she's going to make a comeback. We believe that.
Yes.
So, so
Okay.
Taylor, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We definitely love
Honor.
having you on. It's an
Yes.
honor to have you
It
here.
is.
Thank you so much.
So, as you know, we're in this crazy COVID era right now.
Oh, yes.
How has COVID affected what you do, and what have you done to kind of maneuver this crazy new maze?
Well, I'm a touring artist, I mean, this is what we do. It's completely altered any
Right.
musicians. That's all we do is tour and it's completely altered everything. Can you guys see me?
You went blank.
Went blank.
Exactly what I'm
Oh,
asking you.
Ah,
How
there
about
you go.
now?
Yeah.
we can.
Oh goodness.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
no problem.
exactly. Our complete industry went blank. So our complete industry has gone. Our complete industry has of touring has stopped. Um, it's been a very in our lifetime. I talked to my parents, which I'm so blessed they're still here, and this is the equivalent of a pandemic for them.
Right.
This is war. This is a different era of time where things completely shut down and where everybody needs to come together as we are learning and how we have this last year and how this vaccine is so vitally important and how we're all
Yeah.
coming
Mhm.
together and how we must unify
Yes.
and come together as a world. All cultures, all dominions, we must understand that united we will defy this.
Most definitely.
Hmm.
But yeah, how has it affected me? Completely unilaterally.
And we just got to see her mom for the first time in over a year.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
2 years. Yes.
So,
Yeah, I mean everything that our doingness was completely done, wasn't happening.
and the crazy part on the flip side, COVID has actually been a blessing, so to speak, on some fronts. Like we launched this show January of 2020, so a couple months before COVID.
Right.
And our original plan for last year was 100 interviews. We thought if we could do that,
Like, wow, that would be a lot of interviews
and
the
we
first year.
thought
Yes.
that would be pushing it, 100 interviews
Hmm.
in 1 year. And then COVID happens.
Yeah,
And as I watched the whole entertainment industry start to shut down, I
yeah,
told Sandy, I was like, this may be the right time for our show because artists
yeah.
like you are going to need a place to talk and we're going to give it to them.
Correct,
And
correct.
because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year.
That's incredible. Yeah, well, we were home and in place, and you're right. It is, and also, I mean, more television productions. I mean, I think over time, the first 6 months for me was a real experiment. It was like my
Hmm.
stillness of my body. I hadn't been home in 25 years,
Oh, wow.
not
Wow.
moving, not touring, not doing, not
Right.
um, closer to 30, to be honest. Right? I'm
Oh,
I'm at my
wow.
30-year anniversary of deeply of Tell It to My Heart. And so it was really this pleasant, wow, not moving, not doing, not having to be on that tour bus,
That had
not
to be
having to be
tough.
on that plane. You know,
Right.
nobody can. And yet this connection over this time that, we thrive for, I guess there's blessings and curses. I mean, there really is. There really, really is. There's this form of that we bonded so close with our family, and then it got to
Mhm.
this place where we're, and some family members where we couldn't see it all, as you understand, and family
Hmm.
that's further across the country and further distant lands that we can't connect to, and
Yeah.
friends,
Hmm.
that's family, and other situations like that where it's much more difficult. And I understand that. And, and over time, and for me, my fans are my family.
Most
Yes,
definitely.
absolutely.
And something I've noticed, and I think that this is going to be the new trend, I think, as we start to move in and get to some normalcy coming, because I think that's all coming by next year, where concerts and all that are coming. I think, a lot of artists, they're using the technology now where you can pay $5, $10 for an online concert. I think the new way is going to be, you're going to be at a concert, you're going to do your thing from a live audience, but you're also going to stream it for the people that can't be there.
Of course.
I think that's the new way now.
Yes.
Well, I don't know how they did it for sporting events and every other event. Of course, with live artists and with musicians, it's always the last hurrah.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. It will. As soon as they
Exactly.
can find out how to make a nickel and how to control it.
There you go. So, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to do music? Because you've been doing this for a long time. I like to go deeper than that. When did it click that this could actually be a career for you?
Oh my goodness. I was 5. This was
Oh, wow.
I think I discuss it in my book. I was that little girl running around with that little transistor radio.
Mm-hmm.
I heard those voices. And it was, Stevie Wonder or Karen Carpenter or whoever those voices were over the radio. And their lives sounded so pure and so beautiful and so ethereal and so happy. I want to go with them. I want to be with them. I want to go where they go. Take me with you. And to the land of, when you saw them on TV, they were smiling. They were happy.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind that we didn't know what in the world was going on underneath all that. But that's the land of Hollywood. That's the land of entertainment. That's what we see. And as a child, I just knew that was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Music just resonated with me so deeply.
And speaking of that, I always like to talk about that side of it. A lot of people, they see the glory of your Blake Sheltons, of your Miranda, your Carries, and all that, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggle that it takes, not just to get to their level and even in your level, but even at a lower level where you're just making it.
Yeah.
And I always want to talk about that side of it because almost nobody does. They kind of sugarcoat it. So tell us about some of the sacrifices at the beginning of your career that you made that kind of helped you leap bound ahead of a lot of people.
Well, it's all that, because there is no overnight stardom. I know people think how much that it's not possible. I know we watch these TV shows and we believe that somehow that girl just made it there into that, the Carries, whatever we're discussing, or, the Kellys, Kelly Clarksons.
Yes,
and it's just not. I grew up in New York, so I didn't grow up on a necessarily a ranch or a farm. I grew up in a household in Long Island. I started in New York City in the Bronx, and then we made our way to Long Island because they needed to have more space because we had 3 children. And I have to say, it starts when you have a dream, you have a notion in your head. I started with just staring at my piano teacher in kindergarten class, and then she put me, and then somehow I ended up in the choir, and then that took me into, I just knew, like, I'm going to be in every crap hole in the city. I'm going to play in every crap hole in the city. I'm going to continue to do whatever it needs to do until I'm famous, until somebody hears my voice. And I played every band, every bar, and not just indiscriminately. I worked my way from one band to the next, and there was 2 of them. One was called The Next, the other was Felony. All original music, until you figure it's a puzzle. It's all pieces of a puzzle. And usually you're 18, 17, 16. You're figuring out the songs. You're figuring out how, and you're there's this fire inside you, and there's this thing inside you that if you don't get through this, you'll just die. You have to get through this until somebody sees you, until this And you just don't know when it'll end and when it'll end, but you're going to just keep going until it ends, until you're, and then one magical moment. I don't even know how that magical moment ever happens. And I guess for me, it was Tell It to My Heart, but it was like the first sort of single I ever really, it wasn't
Wow.
really, because I had Tell Me Can You Love Me, and I had another single that I had put out, I'm the One You Want. But those were 12 inches. Those were considered. But you really have to put the back. You know, I was working in a Russian club by then. I was 21, and I was putting my money where my mouth is, and we were putting my money behind it. And my father would put my father's the one that gave me $6,000 to do Tell It to My Heart. I mean,
Oh,
we were
wow.
already doing 12 inches. We were already doing, you know, KTU was a big radio station in New York, and we already knew how to launch this stuff. We already were getting backers. We already were not backers, but we already were going to the promo people and going straight to the clubs and getting them played on the midnight shows. And we at least knew how to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a hustle and a flow. It really is.
So somebody asked, what's your favorite restaurant in New York?
Now? God. I wish I knew Leprechaun TV. Now is now.
But yeah, the sacrifice, you know, that's what a lot of people, and I always like
I
to
don't know
talk
if it's
about
a sacrifice. It's the only thing you know. You're blinded by the lights.
Yes.
So you're asking somebody now, 30 years later, that has all these other visions in front of her, right? I have children, I have responsibilities. But when you are only you, that's the greatest time to just be like ugh.
And see, we know exactly what you went through, because with our show and it's growing, you know, we have the same dreams and goals that an artist has, just a different platform, because we want to be the Bobby Bones, the Kelly Clarkson show, you know, and all that, you know. So that's what we're striving for. So it's like, you know, trying to balance. We got 2 kids, which you'll hear from our 9-year-old later, because we always bring him on the show. But we, you know, with 2 kids,
well, you tell him to go feed himself.
But we, you know, we got so much.
Nah,
but we got so much stuff.
I mean, that's.
Yes, we have our side job and everything
to keep us going, and so it's like one of those things,
hustle,
you know.
Definitely.
And you know, we've launched the show 16 months ago, and although we've had great guests, we are not at the point of where it's making money yet. So we have to keep doing this, and you know, we feel just, you know, so many artists come on our show who are rising, and I feel like we can empathize with them, because we're going through the exact same roller coaster emotions that they are.
Incredible.
But we love it. You know, it's funny. We wouldn't imagine this any other way.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like at the beginning? You know, going through this magical moment, because you'll never have that magical moment again. You know, because it can only happen at the very beginning, where you don't know if it's going to make it. You don't know how did you get through those moments of doubt? Because everybody has them.
It can't be real, and look, it pulled out. It can't be real, because you'll just die if it doesn't. You just won't. Yes, I've been to Cat's Deli. It's closed. Pasta. I'm a Jew from Long Island, of course. I was there, but the sandwiches were this, like, one side, half a sandwich was this big.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Wow.
There's this feeling inside me, but when you read my, like, let me show the cover of the book.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? Like,
yeah.
Parts in this book. When you get to do 30 years and you're celebrating a 30-year anniversary, and you know, the title of this book is How I Lost My Shit, not how I gained it. How I lost my shit, conquered my fear, and found my voice.
Wow.
Tell It to My Heart, Taylor Dayne. There's so many moments in a career, right? There's not, I think you could talk to anybody, the most successful artist in the world, and you will see there's peaks, there's valleys, there's so many moments in a career. And the greatest highs I had, when you're saying what would it have been like if I didn't have them, then we couldn't sit here and celebrate them, or we couldn't sit here and talk about them, and I wouldn't acknowledge, and I wouldn't be able to know what that feeling is. That feeling was, if I didn't break out of Long Island or New York, my dream was I needed it so badly. it was inside of it was physical.
And I love what you're saying there, because again, we feel this because
Oh,
when we
absolutely.
launched this show, we had no idea that we would. Now I always knew one day we would have a big show. I and I always knew that some of the people we've had on the show, including yourself, we would eventually have on. I just didn't know it would happen in 16 months.
Yes, I had no
It
idea.
happened so fast. So when you finally got that moment where "Tell It to My Heart" came and it just exploded, how did you feel at that point? All that work that you put in, all that work, it looked like was finally paying off.
Well, this is with my voice. This is my voice that I'd been my voice has been with me since forever, and I've been working with my voice. It's not just a payoff on a song. This is the voice I lived with since I'm 5, 6, 7, and molded and people believed in or didn't believe in. This isn't something you just see. It's like
Hmm.
when if I could hit the ball and it did exactly what people thought it would do, go out of park, put points on a board, I'd be paid a certain salary, right? If it did it
Yeah.
Right,
multiple
exactly.
times. But that's not how it works in music. It's like you have to make certain notes that have to become certain hits, and they have to develop into certain sounds. This is not a yellow brick road.
Right.
There's not a science to this.
Hmm.
But you can take magic in a bottle where there's science with hitting and playing a sport where it's magical, right? There's talent, so much incredible talent involved. Same thing when it comes to something like this with a gift.
Mhm.
So you really have to. These are called outliers, right? So you
Yeah.
have to get
Yeah.
gifts of this nature when you're this kind of outlier. So you can't compare. You try to take athlete sports like this kind of actor and like really put it into this kind of mental space. And that's why one of those greatest books is called The Outliers, because you really have to understand what greatness is.
Great book.
Oh, yes.
Greatness, what it takes, those kind of hours, like what kind of, and it's a mental, it's a
Yeah,
game of
10,000
what's,
hours to be an expert.
yeah. Well, I had put that in probably by 15.
Wow.
Think about it.
Hmm.
I was a student of the vocal game.
Right.
And then when I wasn't, and then even if I wasn't, by the time I was 21, I was in that Russian club and they had me on that stage, like pounding me. I was like the
Mhm.
Beatles. If I didn't by then they pounded it into me, and I was in that top 40 band for like 8 hours a night,
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
night after night after night. And then
Hmm.
I got those chops under my belt. And then I was like, and if it wasn't after those 8 hours, then it was after those. Then it was at 5 a.m. when I was going to record with Rick Wake, and
Mm.
then we
Hmm.
did "Tell It to My Heart." Those hours after that, but that's by 20. So imagine all the hours before that.
Wow.
Mm.
So it's just
Because that's the
hours,
part that
hours,
people don't
compounding,
see.
compounding, compounding.
And that's the part. And again, on our show, I always want to talk about that side of it because people, your average person who listens to music or watches TV for actors, they don't see the behind the scenes part of all this. They don't
Yeah,
see
what it
what goes
really
into.
takes.
And because some people are like, I'll just stream music because it's free. I'll never buy anything. And I'm always telling them, you realize if music's never bought, then artists can't make a living. When artists can't make a living, you're going to get crappy music. And people don't
Yes.
understand that. So I always love to hear the stories, hear the sacrifices that people make, because I think that that's one of the most under talked thing in music is the sacrifices that y'all make for the public.
Yeah. It's a strange, I don't know if I made it for anybody other than it's what I desired, and because it's what I thought I saw, and it was my calling, right?
Hmm.
That was my thing. And what I saw was that it was revered, right? And it was, and when I was good at it, people acknowledged it, and it made people really happy.
Wow.
Okay,
At least
so
you found it young, because sometimes it takes people,
yeah,
like with this show. I feel like we're in our zone with this show, but I'm about to be 50 years old this year. So it's like I'm just now finding that one
We
thing
found it in our
that
40s.
that
Mhm.
I believe can make us something out there that I never realized. And again, I never even realized I would like it. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that we would be running a show like this, I'd have laughed because oh, that ain't in my cards. I wouldn't like that. And here it is. I can't get enough of
Interesting.
it. So it's just crazy sometimes as you go through life, that you try this and you try that and all of that. So speaking of that, what are some hobbies you do outside of music that kind of help build you as a whole person?
Hmm. Well, one for sure is I'm very connected. I love interior design. People don't
Awesome.
realize that. So I like, uh, yeah,
Huh.
design interiors. I'm not going to say necessarily flipping homes, but I've been known to do it, and I design my own homes, um, as well as I'm very uh, centered in nature. So one of my biggest, and not just say just the hiking aspect of it. So I'm an adventurer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, um, more so when my kids were much younger and prior to their birth. You know, I was taking off. It wasn't uncommon for me to take off on these big kind of big small journeys where it was small in terms of I traveled the world, but I felt like I saw nothing.
Oh,
Does that make
wow.
sense?
It
Yeah.
So I
does.
started going
Like a
backwards.
blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, by 35, I could have said to you, yeah, I saw everything, but I saw nothing. So I started
Wow.
going backwards, and it was this kind of like prayer time for me where I started to walk these trails, like some of the most important national parks, if you will, but
Hmm.
you know, through some of my friends that were now graduating college.
Hmm.
And I had already been at the peak, some of the peaks of my career. And
Ah.
I was like, oh, they're just getting their jobs, you know? And I'm like, just tell me where some great trailheads are, and I'll rent like a beautiful casita and like certain places, and, you know, up in Boulder or in Estes Park. And so being gravitationally pulled to the earth, and having this real, if some people ask me what would your other, I go, I don't know, maybe I would have been a state, a park ranger.
You know what's
Biologist.
Yeah.
funny is a lot of the interviews that you see with the big artists of
Love
today.
barbecues.
But you know, a lot of the big interviews you see of
Love
today,
fishing.
hosts always ask the artist, "What would you be doing if you didn't make it in music?" And something I've noticed that's a common denominator answer is most artists have always said, "I would probably be a broke musician because I had no plan B. This was it. This was my what I
Ooh.
was supposed to do."
Well, I don't know about that. I'd be flipping houses, and I would definitely. I don't like all that. I'd be probably in Italy
Ah.
and, as well, and yeah, being broke is not no fun either.
True. It's true.
We
Mm-mm.
know that one.
We know that.
And trying to build a show with no backing and all that, and
Grassroots. Yeah.
it's all grassroots for what we do. And you know
Of
what? But we
course,
love it.
We
But
love
you know
it.
what? When we get there, we'll be able to look back at some of these moments and be like, "Wow, we did that."
of course, of
Just
course.
like when you look back, what are some of your wow moments? When you look back on your career so far, what are some moments that really highlight you that you
Mm.
feel?
Well, there's, oh goodness. Um, well, I mean, you can always go back to the beginnings, right? And then there's just,
Hmm.
I mean, even just recently is just, my goodness, just this last year, you know, just coming. I mean, just even the Mass Singer, that was just so wow to
Wow.
just doing the
Yes.
just doing the, you know, just coming out and just making it to the finals and just coming to the end and just taking off a mask for millions of people, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, that was just so amazing, and getting as far as I did, and
Yes.
seeing everybody's faces, and that was just an amazing reveal in this COVID crazy time.
Yeah.
And working like that, it was really amazing. And to be popcorn and to dress in that beautiful costume every day, and just to be, it was just this fantastic fantasy.
Yeah.
To being back in the studio now and working on some incredible new music with Greg Field, and
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, I'm really just in this very creative spot right now. Um, just very exciting time, really, truly.
So someone asked, do you have any memories of playing in Cleveland?
No, but I remember the Ducks. I remember what are those Sunday the Ducks when you eat the brunch? The Duffy? Was it the Duffy? Aw, thank you.
Love it.
Yes.
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the artist in you, but they don't see the teams behind you. And in our opinion, they don't get the love they deserve.
No, they do
On
not.
our show, they get a little love. So if you want to take a few moments just to tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Well, that's truly important. So there's your publicists, right? There's people that work now. We have such a social media team. That's important. Your management, your a lot of that has been, um, your booking, your touring. A lot of that's been very quiet right now. While we're just trying to navigate ourselves through the industry right now that's been so closed. But the team behind me, um, yeah, management, publishing, publicist,
Yes.
publishers, um, social media.
Yeah, we love
All
publicists
important.
because they are what help us bring people like you on.
They do.
Yes,
We've
of
worked with a
course.
lot of great
We,
ones.
we have a lot of great PR
Yes,
friends,
and we love
and
them.
Oh, do
and that's
you?
one great thing about the
Amazing.
industry is as you
Mhm.
start developing these contacts within the industry, they become friends to you.
They do.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
And speaking of team members, we have a third co-host, our little
Yes, we
9-year-old,
do. His
that
name is
Oh my
Christopher.
goodness.
that we allow him to come on and ask
Yes,
3
he's a
questions.
huge music fan
So
too. I'll go get
she's
him.
gonna go get him. We got a 2-year-old daughter that when she gets older, we'll be plugging her in the show too because we are a family
2
affair show.
years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. All my friends have kids that are in college, and we've got a 2-year-old.
Well, God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the same being almost 50 with a 2-year-old. That's for sure.
God bless you.
But you know what? They'll keep us young if they don't break my
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
meantime.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's beautiful. While she's going really far to find the 9-year-old.
Yeah, he's just right in the other room. I hear him coming now.
Aw, what's his name? What's your
His
son's
name's
name?
Christopher.
Christopher.
Hi,
Hi, Taylor
Christopher.
Dayne.
Oh, I love it. All kids call me Taylor Dayne, full name. Christopher, why you call me Taylor Dayne, not just Taylor?
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Preferred, right?
Yes. Okay. So, what's your favorite food?
Italian.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yum.
Isn't it yummy?
Yes.
You like pasta, right? And don't
Oh,
say
he
you
Yes.
loves
don't, but
Yes, I do.
pasta. Isn't pasta incredible?
Because what's your
Yes.
favorite?
Mine is pizza.
I knew it was going to be pizza, so that's why I said not just pizza. I'm gonna make pasta. I can make you a sauce, a red sauce spaghetti, and some meat sauce. Ooh,
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yum.
yum.
Okay. So, what's your favorite TV show?
Ooh, it changes a lot because I watch a lot of series, right? So, but
Yeah.
I finish them. I binge a lot.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
What's
So
yours?
it finishes
Mine
up
is
quick.
SpongeBob.
Oh my God, love SpongeBob. Who's your favorite character on there? SpongeBob or Squidward?
Who's your favorite?
I think Patrick.
He likes Patrick.
Patrick.
Mhm.
We love Patrick. Sally's
And-
great too.
Yes.
And what's been cool about all this is he watches a lot of the Nickelodeon shows, so we've been able to bring a lot of the people he looks up to on there onto our show for him to talk to.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I wish I'd have had that when I was a kid, you know?
Said one. I mean, SpongeBob all the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh. Well, when I was young or now?
Both.
Both. Well, there was a movie when I was young called Born Free that really was amazing for me. And
Wow.
Bambi, kind of like a kids movie for you at the time.
It's movie?
And what's yours?
Mine is the Minion movies.
Okay.
Mm?
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, he loves it. Even Caitlin, our 2-year-old, when she sees the little yellow minions in any place, she just
Oh.
laughs and points. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Bye, thanks.
By Dane? Telling you, they just call you Taylor Dayne, by Dane. Crazy. Bye, Christopher.
So you've done this for a long time. What's one of your I mean, I think, it's hard to. I'm sure there's 1,000 of these, but tell us a fan story where a fan done something above and beyond in your career, and you just thought, "Wow."
Oh, goodness. There's so many great ones. I mean, just where they'll pick you up, or they're like, I'll pick you up. Don't worry. They'll meet you someplace. They'll pick you up, even if you're like, no, don't need to. Don't worry, Taylor Dayne. Don't worry. There's always just so many. Fans are incredible. Incredible.
What would you say is one of the hardest parts to what you do now compared to what it was when you were younger with this? Because again, music's changed through the years.
Yes.
So what's the difference between now and then?
Well, I think it's evolved. I think we all see how it's evolved. It's changed completely. It's evolved from. It's a digital world. I mean, it's completely digitized.
Mhm.
I mean, we're all it's completely. We're online. I mean, there was no. I started in 1988. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no internet. There was no cell phones.
We remember,
Yeah, our little one can't believe that we had no cell phones.
Yes, when we were young. No internet, no cell phones.
CDs.
Mm-hmm.
So my industry has changed multiple times within it, and my music has changed, and therefore the communication has changed, and the payment has changed, the industry has changed, the form of how artists are leveraged or changed. There's a lot of great, good, and ugly. Good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, I always say that, there's the, good, bad, and ugly is what makes the whole industry.
Yes.
And I hate that you have to go through all that. But at the same time,
it's very weird that in this industry of all industries, we do, because we're considered so much property. And so our intellectual property is just so many other people's besides our own.
Yeah, because that's the crazy part about the industry is, once you sign with a label, in most cases, they own you instead of you owning your own self, and you're the one making all the money for them.
Yeah, or making the art. Yeah, very strange.
Like the songwriter, especially the songwriter. That what depresses me a little bit with the industry, especially with the streaming, is the songwriters. Without the songwriter, you don't have a song, and they pour their heart. They pour their hearts into these songs that they create, and it's like it's getting less and less for them at all in this whole crazy industry.
It's got to go to Congress. That's got to go all the way back to the beginning of time, and it's just it's antiquated.
Exactly.
Yes.
So old regime.
Is that definitely on that? So where do you got to always have goals no matter where you've been. So where you want to see yourself in 5 years? What's the plan?
Well, I got my plan. You got yours.
Yes.
Yeah. I could show you my vision board. It's pretty fierce.
Sure.
It's in the
Love
other room now.
Ah.
But
Ah.
it's really beautiful, and it's small and condensed now.
Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
in the center of it, it says divine order.
Oh,
Oh,
Take
wow.
myself out of trying to puppeteer and mastermind the whole
yeah.
thing, and understand that there is a divine order to it all. And I do have my musts and my dreams and my awakenings and my home and the luxury I do want and the things that I really do need to feel good, and the beauty of my home and the aesthetics that I do need, and the placement, and where I need to feel safe and loved and cared for, and the hit making and the success that I need to feel, and the places where I need to do that, and the creatives where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where I need to do that in my music and my art and in television and with my voice, certainly, and staying fit and healthy and emotionally, mentally, and physically. These are the things, and I groundwork that. So I try to put that all in a vision board, and a vision, and look at that daily, because that's what you'll look at that, take it in, and remember that. It's easy to
Absolutely.
get lost.
Yes. So how would you say your music has evolved from the beginning, from Tell It to My Heart to what you're currently working on?
Hopefully, it's going right back into the soul. It's going heart, and now it's going into the soul.
Love that.
You got what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's not too far from the truth where it started.
Right.
Not too far. Because people have always said, wow, when you sing, it's just like, wow, passion,
Yeah.
heart, passion. And now we're going right into the soul, going right
Oh,
into the bam. So this time I'm taking no prisoners.
I
love
love
that. And what would you like your legacy to be as an artist? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
Formidable. One of the greatest voices of all time.
Yes,
And we can tell the passion that you have
we can
for all
see
this,
it.
and that's the thing I think that makes difference,
Mhm.
entertainment versus some of the other jobs out there. Because when you look at people working their 9 to 5, and nothing wrong with 9 to 5, so don't come shoot me bad emails. If that's what
Right.
you want to do, that's great. But
Nothing.
a lot of people, they just don't have the passion for what they're doing. But when you're in that creative mode like yourself, it's like it's like instead of losing the passion through the years, you actually gain more passion. And we can see that.
We can see that.
And
We
that's
can
the great
always
thing
tell.
about music. It's music moves people. Music's healing.
Yes, it's so healing. I know it's been a very healing force in my life at different times.
Yeah.
Is there a moment in your life where you felt like the music was healing you? And tell us about that.
Yes.
I learned that through my audience. I can only explain it that way. And I only understood that once I was in a reciprocity with my fans.
Mhm.
And that is I had to go backwards. And I don't mean really backwards, but I had
Yeah.
to understand when I was at my most depleted, touring and things like that. I said, I don't know if I
Right.
can keep doing this. And I was working with a life coach, and we were talking, and she goes, I need you to step at those very moments that you're done and you give your last breath on stage. And I need you to take that first moment when you go, ah, and look at everybody. Take it in. Because
Mhm.
often I never used to take it in. I
Wow.
couldn't
Wow.
take it in.
Right.
Because can you? And then I want you to press something on your body, like a pressure point. Like it's just all these things
Mhm.
Yeah.
to allow this in. And when they're coming, when your fans are with you, and there's this moment of reciprocity, and I started to go with them, and they go with me, and it became this beautiful. I started to understand, and that's when you get it. Well, that's when I got it, and that's when I understood what I saw when I went to a show, what I felt.
Mhm.
And you can only do that when you're in that seat and when you're in that place. Because people always ask me, what does it feel like to be on stage? What does it feel like to be in that space, to look at your fans, And I go, oftentimes you're in the motion, you're in motion, but this is what this feels like. It is, there's this
Nothing
holy
like it.
space when you're at the, I don't know, but there is this holiness at the end when all is not at the end, but there's this holiness, and that is the grace of God, the grace of all, the grace of everything. It is holiness.
Amen.
It is something.
Because I remember, and it's funny that we're doing this show because, for in our 18 years of marriage and talking about God and stuff, this kind of led us to this show, and we just never knew it. We would be out on the street, and we ended up in conversations. And if I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'm talking about stranger now, not people that I know.
And this still happens.
And it still happens. But it was funny because I would end up in a conversation. If we get 2-3 minutes and it goes deep a little bit, Sandy would know we're there 60 minutes. No questions about it. And she'd get upset sometimes, roll her eyes sometimes. We laugh about it now because I did this thousands and thousands and thousands of times in our 18 years of marriage. And now we're like, oh, that was God preparing us for this show.
We just didn't know at the time.
Because now I get to have all these awesome conversations with artists like you and actors and all that. And we're just sitting here like we're just two people that just taking this in. And
we're just music fans, entertainment fans ourselves.
And we feel so privileged to get to do this.
I understand.
I remember the very first show we did, January 3rd of 2020. We actually made it that date because that was my mom's birthday. She passed away years ago, but I wanted to honor her with our first show. And I remember we had 2 interviews that day, and we got off that show. And I remember telling Sandy, I was like, this is it. This is what we're supposed. I just knew it at that moment. After those, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what God called us to do. And here we are 16 months later, still doing it.
Beautiful.
So what's next for you?
A couple of Grammys and getting through this and getting back out there and moving forward with management work and decision making and locking and loading. That's what's next in this new record.
Awesome.
I love that. Now, let's say as we come to a close here, we don't want to take up much more of your time, but as we come to a close here, let's say you had a friend of yours and you heard him or her sing and they've got something special. As Simon Cowell would say, they have that it factor. But they've played maybe 40 or 50 shows. So this would be pre-COVID advice, so keep that in mind. But they've played 40 or 50 shows. So they're still getting their feet wet on the performance side. But they've gotten on stage and they got what every artist says, that stage bug where they look over the crowd's roaring for them. And they know they're in the right place. And they come to you and they say, Taylor, I know I'm called to do this on stage. What advice would you give that specific person to help guide them the next few years? Knowing what you know now.
And it's not what advice, it's like what relationships would you try to guide them to? I mean, that's really what it is.
So important.
And that's so on point because what I've noticed is the connections is what makes the artist a lot of times nowadays.
That's all it ever was. I mean, it's really what relationship, and I'm not going to say it's what, unless they're doing it for themselves, they're doing it in-house, they're doing their own distribution, and they're doing it with their own team. I mean, it's the relationship is what they're doing. If they're doing it in-house and they can do it, because now you can do it in-house. You can do it with your own
Yeah.
team. You can do it with your own resources if they have their own resources and their own team, and they're set up that way, and they're financially capable of, and they have those resources, and they can boost and they can do all that, and they understand their social media team is that good, and the distribution. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe from Square Table said that, you're the best guest in the world.
And you are. We agree. If you could relay any message to your fans, what would you want to tell them?
I'm forever grateful to my fans. And this is Taylor Dayne, and we're going to have a great year. We're having a great year.
Yeah.
Love that. So
Love
now,
that.
as we close here, tell everybody how they can get your book and how they can reach out to you through
Mhm.
social media and all that.
Follow me on Amazon, get the book, Tell It to My Heart on Amazon. Follow me at Real Taylor Dayne. Go to taylordayne.com. Check out all the good stuff on Instagram, IG, right? The Real Taylor Dayne,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go check it out.
Yeah.
YouTube and the new stuff on Dane's Den, which is this new project I'm working on, which is going up on
Oh, wow.
YouTube. That's on my
great.
channel. That's been a lot of fun. And
Oh, wow.
you can see clips of that on my Instagram and then on my Facebook. Yeah, it's been really
That
great.
is awesome. And we really enjoyed having you on the
Trying to
show
keep
today.
some live
Yes.
music in doing it in my back studio.
There you
Uh-huh.
go. But we really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we definitely look forward to having you back down the road.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right.